What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my DraftKings MMA picks for UFC 249. Welcome back from the really long layoff. It's been forever. We're finally back with an amazing fight card. It's going down Saturday, May 9th in Florida. And this card is stacked from top to bottom. I like every single fight on this card. You got fights like Cerrone versus Pettis on the prelims, Luque versus Price on the prelims, and you got, of course, the main event, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje, which is going to be absolutely insane. Before we start the video, if you guys can leave a like, also subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd really appreciate that. And a few announcements to make. I am doing a DraftKings Freeroll contest. It's free to enter. All you got to do is drop your DraftKings name in the comments. I'm going to send out the invites Friday night, Saturday morning. Nothing crazy, just $25 to first place. Just something to say thank you to you guys for all the support. I think 19 or 20 of you guys have signed up already, so probably going to end that around 50, maybe 75 if we get up there. But just a free, fun contest for you guys. So just drop your names in the comments. Also, I did update my model. I redid the whole thing. I'm just going to go through it real quick. You can access this model on Patreon. I will put the link in the description. You got the predictions in bold on the left. You got the fighter info, the salary, the fight number, age, height, reach, record in the last 5 fights, the striking stats, the knockdown percentage, significant strikes landed per minute, accuracy, significant strikes absorbed per minute, striking defense. You got the grappling stats, the takedown average, the takedown accuracy, takedown defense, submission average through 15. You got the finish stats, the number of fights, KO percentage, sub percentage, finish rate, losses by decision, KO, and submission. And then we got our Vegas odds here. Vegas odds here, you got the odds to finish, KO percentage, sub percentage, decision odds. Of course, you got my targets page, which looks something like this. And then my rankings page looks something like this. The cash rankings, GPP rankings, underdog rank, finish rank, winning probability ranking, and finish probability ranking. My lineup percentages, you got my projections, which I also added value in there, so you see which fighter you're getting the most value out of. I use my projections off Vegas odds and Vegas finish probabilities. It's been working out fairly well for those projections, so I'm going to stick with that. I really like those projections. It's probably my favorite thing on the whole sheet. And then my optimizer, it's customizable. You can put your own projections in there. You can put my projections in there, but it's really cool. And then also my example cash lineup and also access to Slack chat. I'll put the link in the description, but I'm going to go through it real quick. It's really easy. Just go to my Patreon page. On the right-hand side, you have the MMA tier. It's $5. This is just for the sheet alone with the stats. You got full access to my MMA model, the fighter stats, GPP lineup percentages, Slack chat, and targets and rankings. If you want the cool stuff, it's $10 a month. Access to my MMA model, access to my MMA Slack chat, GPP lineup percentages, targets and rankings, premium projections, customizable optimizer, example cash build, fighter by fighter breakdown where I go over the fights and also break down my example cash lineup and GPP strategy and also cash strategy as well. I try to put the most value in here as possible and make it for the cheapest price as possible. I put a lot of time and effort into all of this. The sheet takes me like a couple hours to complete, especially since I add all this other stuff. You can't just go to the website and pull it off. You have to do it by hand. So I don't mind doing it, but I do try to make the most value for you guys. So if you're interested in that, the link is going to be in the description. But with that said, let's get into the video here. All right, let's look at the fight does not go to decision lines here. First of all, we got Ferguson versus Gaethje, minus 470. Fight does not go to decision. First of all, that I totally agree with that line. I think it's going to end inside probably the first 3-4 rounds. Don't see it getting to round 5. I definitely do not see it going to decision. So you're going to want to target both sides of this fight. Personally, I'm going probably 50-50 Ferguson-Gaethje or with a slight lean Ferguson 60. Gaethje 40, something like that. I've not decided yet, but I do know I'm going 100% on this fight. There's no doubt you should not be 100% on this fight. Luque versus Price, minus 375. Fight does not go to decision. Someone's getting finished here. I think Price is going to get finished. Personally, I am on Luque a lot. I'm not going to be 100% on this fight, but I'm going to have extremely high ownership on Luque. He's probably my favorite play on the whole slate. Ngannou versus Rozenstruik, minus 325. Fight does not go to decision. I know a lot of people are worried about it being like a Derek Lewis versus Ngannou fight where nothing really happened and very low scoring, but Minus 325, you got to target this fight. Personally, I think Ngannou's going to win, but I will have some of both because it is heavyweight and anything can happen. Werdum Oleinik minus 255 fight is not good decision. I do like Werdum quite a bit. Maybe I'll have some Oleinik, but this fight's definitely going to end inside probably the first 2 rounds. Both these guys' gas tanks are not very good at all, especially Oleinik. We see him gas out in like the first couple minutes. So Hardy versus DeCastro, another heavyweight fight here. Got to target both sides. Personally, I'm on Hardy a little bit, but DeCastro's not a bad play at all, especially in that mid-range of the slate as well. Let's look at the core plays here. Tony Ferguson, 8,700. He's definitely a core play. Gonna have him in cash. I think he's going to win here as long as he does not get knocked out in the first 2 rounds, and that is saying a lot because Gaethje hits very, very hard. Gaethje's finished 3 of his last fights by first round knockout. But Ferguson, I think he's going to wear him down throughout the fight, and as long as he doesn't get knocked out by Gaethje, I think he dominates as the fight goes on. Puts on a crazy pace. Gaethje gets hit a lot. Gaethje gets hit like 10 significant strikes absorbed per minute, something crazy like that. I think there's going to be volume on both sides of this fight, but I just think Tony Ferguson is going to wear him down throughout the fight. So 8,700. Like I said, I'm probably going to go 50-50 on this fight, maybe 60-40, because Gaethje's just so dangerous, and I would not be surprised at all if Gaethje came out here finished Ferguson first round. So, but I do like Ferguson, definitely a core play of mine. Vicente Luque, 9,000, probably my favorite play on the slate. He's the cheapest out of the 9,000 range. We know how stacked that 9,000 range is up there. But we've seen Luque finish Price the first time. I think he's going to do it again here. I don't think anything's changed. I think Luque is the more skilled fighter by a good margin. But Price is very, very dangerous, so you got to play both sides a little bit. We've seen Luque's never been knocked out. I mentioned this before in my prediction video. Luque's never been knocked out. But we remember when Tim Means was never knocked out and he was going against Price. Everyone was like, Tim Means has never been knocked out. And then Tim Means got knocked out by Price. And, I was very surprised as well. But Luque has never been knocked out. Not saying it can't happen, but Luque has a strong chin. I think he's a better fighter overall. I think he dominates here as long as he doesn't get clipped. So give me Luque at 9,000. Probably going to have him in cash. A lot of GPP lineups as well. Dominic Cruz, 7,400. This is more of a cash play. I think he's probably going to be one of the highest owned plays in cash because he is going 5 rounds. There's a lot of volume. Do I think he could win? Yes, I do. I am picking him to win actually at 7,400. I think him and Gaethje are going to be the highest owned plays in cash. GPP, Gaethje is probably going to be the highest play as an underdog. But yeah, Cruz, I think he's going to be a little chalky in cash. I'm going to eat that chalk. I think he's going to go all 5 rounds. He's never been knocked out before, I don't believe. He has the speed, the quickness advantage on Cejudo, but Cejudo does have that power advantage. I was watching a training video on Cruz, and Cruz looked very good. He looked very, very fast, very, very sharp. We've seen him come off of a layoff before and get the belt. Can he do it again here? I don't know. He's getting up there in age. Not too bad, but in fighting years, he's getting up there. But 7,400, I'm definitely going to take a shot at him. I think it can last 5 rounds. I think it could be a very, very close fight, and maybe he outpoints Cejudo. A lot of people are worried about Cejudo taking him down, but Cruz has very, very good takedown defense and very, very good scrambling ability, so I can see him pop him right back up. But I like Cruz quite a bit, especially for cash. Going to lock him in cash. Don't know how much GPP ownership I'll have on him. Probably a decent amount. But I do think there's a lot of upside for lots of volume here for Dominic Cruz, especially throughout 5 rounds. Greg Hardy, 8,600. I see a lot of people on the other side of DeCastro, but I'd be very surprised if DeCastro wins. Not very surprised, but I'd be surprised if DeCastro wins. Hardy is just an athletic freak. We all know that. He has a huge athletic advantage over DeCastro. And we've seen him improving fight after fight. I know he's a very controversial guy, with the inhaler, a bunch of no contest throughout his short career so far. But I think he's going to come out here, and I think he's going to knock out DeCastro. Definitely not a cash play for me, more of a GPP play, and I am going to be playing sides of DeCastro as well. But I just think at 8,600, there's a lot of upside for Greg Hardy here, and I think he is a potential slate breaker. GPP plays, Fabricio Werdum, 9,200. I think he's going to come out here and finish Oleinik in the first round. I think he's going to take him down and then finish him with either ground and pound or even submit him. Don't really like Oleinik's chances. The only thing is Werdum hasn't been fighting. He's on like a 2-year layoff, so that is very concerning. And Oleinik has been active, but I just don't, this is a fantastic matchup for Verdum, so I like him a lot. I think he's going to win. Would I be surprised if he lost? Yeah, I would. And if he did lose, it'd probably be by knockout. But Oleinik has only finished like 11% of his fights by knockout. I know he does hit kind of hard, and Verdum is chinny, but as long as he avoids that shot, I think he is going to have no problem here at Oleinik, and I think he's going to win by a finish. So I like him a lot. GPP might play him in cash as well if I do a Stars and Scrubs lineup in cash. Bryce Mitchell, 8,500 GPP play here. I think he's going to win, but I don't know if he's going to finish the fight, which makes it more of a GPP play here. We've seen him win in the first round of his last fight, but if he doesn't get that first round finish, do I think he's going to hit value? I don't know. I think it's going to be really close. I can see him scoring maybe like 80 points in a decision win. Will that be enough to get on the optimal lineup? I don't know. Maybe. But I think he's going to win. There is that finish upside. I do think he has that first round finish upside because he does try to go in there and get the fight done. But if he wins at a decision, I don't know if he's going to hit value. Maybe he gets a couple takedowns, some reversals, significant strikes. Maybe he hits like 85 points, somewhere around there. But I do like Bryce Mitchell to win a lot, and that's why he's probably one of my favorite GPP plays because he does have that upside. So yeah, give me some Bryce Mitchell. Not going to go like too crazy on it. Probably like 30, 35%, 40%, somewhere around there. So Jacare Souza, 8,300. This is a fine play. We've seen Hall get knocked out plenty of times, but I know we're all worried about Souza. He looks so bad in his last fight against Jan Blachowicz, but I think Blachowicz is very, very underrated. His takedown defense has improved so much, and Souza did look awful. He could not get Jan Blachowicz down, but Blachowicz takedown defense has improved so much, so maybe that's why he can do that. I don't think Hall's takedown defense is going to hold up if Souza puts on the same game plan as he did to Blachowicz. I think Souza will end up getting end up getting Hall down at some point and end up maybe submitting Hall. I think he's going to submit him, be the first one to submit Hall, or win a decision there. But just worried about Souza and Souza's durability, and Hall has been fighting very, very good. So maybe Hall gets a knockout. So going to be playing both sides, but I like Souza to win here. I think he does get Hall down at some point, and when he does, I think he's gonna submit Hall. So I like Souza a decent amount there. Anthony Pettis, 8,200. I mean, we can't really trust Anthony Pettis or Donald Cerrone at this point in their careers, but Cerrone has been finished in his last 3 fights. Durability is not really there, so maybe Pettis finishes him. I mean, I'm picking Cerrone to win. But Pettis definitely going to finish him, so you're going to want to have some Pettis. I'm not going to have too much, but I'm going to have a little bit of Pettis because I do think there is an opportunity for him to finish Cowboy Cerrone. And then Calvin Kattar, 8,900. I think he's probably going to dominate this fight. It's just a matter of is he going to get a finish, and he might. So I think he's going to put on an absolute clinic here on Jeremy Stephens, maybe get him out of there late in that third round, second round. So I do think there's upside here. I think this could be a potential slate-breaking play, low ownership, because everybody's going to go up and play your Ngannous and your Luques and your Ryan Spans, or down below him is Tony Ferguson, Bryce Mitchell, all those guys. So I think Kattar's going to go a little overlooked, and I think it could be like a potential slate-breaking play. I'm not going to go crazy on the ownership GPP-wise, but I do think it has a potential to definitely break the slate, especially if he gets a knockout. If he doesn't get a knockout, I do think he'll still score well. I just don't know if he'll be able to be on the winning lineup. All right, now let's go to my live dogs. Justin Gaethje, obviously probably my number one live dog play because, he can end the fight like that. He can end the fight in the first round, second round. He hits with so much power, and I'm definitely going to have about 50% of Justin Gaethje here, maybe 40% at the least, because he definitely can finish the fight here. I'm not picking him to win, but I do think there's definitely an opportunity for him to win here. So you've got to play him in DraftKings. Don't fade either Tony Ferguson or Justin Gaethje. You got to play both sides here. As for cash, haven't really decided yet, but I think most people are going to stack the Gaethje Ferguson, which I think is smart because you're going to get one guy that scores over 100 points. And if this goes into like 3 rounds, even the loser is going to score a lot of points on volume alone. So I think the stack is definitely in play here for cash. Donald Cerrone, 8,000. I'm picking him to win. I know he hasn't looked good in his last 3 fights, but look at who he's fought. He's fought Ferguson. He's fought McGregor. You know, if guys like that, he's been fighting the best of the best and he's getting knocked out. Okay, um, he's taken a huge step down in competition. Not a huge step down, but a big step down in competition here against Pettis, who's been looking absolutely awful. Besides that knockout on Wonderboy, which was definitely I'd say a fluke, you know, out of nowhere. But I like Cerrone here. I think he's going to outpoint Anthony Pettis throughout the fight. As long as he doesn't get finished, as long as his durability holds up, I think Cerrone's going to win here. So 8,000. Don't know if he's going to break the slate or anything, but I think he can definitely score around like 80 points, 80 in the 80s in a win. Jorgen De Castro, 7,600 to win. 7,600 price. I think Hardy's going to win the fight. I do, but I do think there's that chance that De Castro finishes Hardy. I mean, I'd be a little bit surprised, but you got to play both sides of this. It's a heavyweight fight, and I don't mind De Castro in some GPP lineups. Uriah Hall, 7,900. He's been looking really good. Jacare's been not looking too good. He's getting up there in age. Jacare's like 40 years old. And Hall's been looking good. So maybe Hall comes out here and finishes Souza. I definitely think it's going to be kind of low owned. So he's definitely a live dog I'm targeting, but not with too much ownership because I do think Souza's going to win. But there is that opportunity that he finishes Souza. Punt plays. We got a couple here. We got Nico Price, 7,200. He can win the fight. You know, we've seen he can win the fight. He can be losing the fight and end up getting a finish. We've seen hammer fist from bottom, the leg kick on the kick from the bottom against James Vick. We saw him knock out Tim Means. This guy's a finisher. That's all he does. So I wouldn't be surprised if he won. You know, he pulls stuff out of his hat all the time and gets finishes. So you got to play some Nico Price here. Rosenstruck, 7,100. It's a heavyweight fight. Although I am picking Ngannou to win, I will have some Rosenstruck. Because it's heavyweight fight. They hit very hard, and I think he is going to probably out volume Ngannou if this goes 3 rounds. So I do think he can actually win a decision if it goes 3 rounds. I don't know how much points he's going to score doing that, but I do think Ngannou is going to finish him. And if Ngannou does not finish him, I do think Rosenstruck might be able to win a decision there. So not a bad play there. Sam Alvey, 6,900. This play is a little controversial. Ryan Spann is a minus 405 favorite. I do not agree with that line at all. People are acting like Spann's going to come out here and finish Alvey right away. Like, as soon as he touches Alvey's shin, he's going to get finished. And I'm a little confused by that because, Spann's not really a finisher. Spann finishes, he's a finisher, but he finishes like 50% of his fights by submission. He's finished like 17% of his fights by knockout, And Alvey has a very, very good chin. I think there's a lot of recency bias going around that Alvey doesn't have a chin. He's only been finished in like 3 fights out of like 45 fights. And then Spann's been finishing like 3 fights as well, at like half those fights, half the amount of fights as well. So we've seen Spann knocked out before a couple times. We've seen Alvey knocked out a couple times. I know Alvey's been knocked out 2 of his last 3 fights. I think that's why this line is so crazy. Everybody thinks Alvey's done, and that could be the case. Spann could come out here and knock out Alvey right away. But Alvey, I think he has a good shot here. He hits very hard. We've seen Spann knocked out like 2 or 3 times before. And he's very, very tough. I know he's been knocked out, but he's very, very tough, has a very good chin. And I think there's an opportunity for Sam Alvey to ruin the slate here for everybody. Not me, but, I think Ryan Spann's going to be a lot of chalk. And I think Alvey's going to be probably 8% owned, something like that. So I'm going to have some Alvey, not much, just some, just in case. I do think Spann's going to win, obviously. I think he's going to win a dominating decision, like a 30-27, 30-26 decision. But I just think there's a possibility that Alvey just ruins the slate here and catches Ryan Spann. Very unlikely it is, but just something to look out for because we've seen anything happens in MMA DFS. Fades. So I'm personally fading Ryan Spann. I'd rather go down and play Verdum. I'd rather play Luque. I'd even rather play Ngannou. I think he's going to win. I think it's going to be a dominating decision, but like I said, he's more of a submission guy. He's finished 50% of his fights by submission. Alvey's never been finished in like 45 fights. Alvey has very, very good takedown defense. I don't think Ryan Spann's going to be able to take him down. Maybe he does, but I think Alvey's takedown defense is probably going to hold up. And I just see Spann dominating Alvey on the feet with using his range and length. If he does not get that finish, I think he's probably going to score around like 90 points, 85, 90 points. So I personally am probably going to fade Spann or very, very low ownership. I'll just say he's going to be my lowest owned in the 9,000s. I'll just say that. I do like Verdum a lot better, and then Luque is probably my favorite play on the slate. So maybe not a total fade, but most likely going to fade or have very little of Ryan Spann. Michelle Watterson, 7,800. I just don't see a reason to really play her. She's not going to get takedowns. I think she's going to be taken down by Carla Esparza. I think that's probably going to stall on the ground quite a bit. I don't think she's going to get too much damage done on her by Esparza, but I do think Esparza is going to get her down maybe a time or two per round, and I think Esparza is going to win a close decision. I don't think she's going to put enough volume to really do any damage on the slate. So I think it's a pretty easy fade for me. I don't think she's going to finish Esparza or nothing. So that's a pretty simple fade for me there. All right, guys. Just a reminder, you can become a Patreon member and receive full access to my model, customizable optimizer, premium projections, GPP lineup percentages, premium breakdown and strategy video, and my example cash lineup. $5 for the model alone, and $10 for all the stuff you see there, and then also access to my Slack chat as well. I put a lot of time into this, so that would really be sweet if you guys can sign up and check that out. I'll put the link in the description. But that's about it, guys. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. If you have any questions, you can comment below in the comments. I try to answer all the comments, no matter what they are. And then also don't forget that we have that free roll. I'll send the invites out Friday night, Saturday morning for you guys. Just something to give back to you guys for all the support and stuff. And make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Also subscribe if you haven't yet. I really appreciate that. And good luck this weekend. Let's win some money.